This is really an episode I feel is going to be super supportive if you find yourself oscillating a lot between moments of pristine clarity and directness and then swinging back the other way and feeling overwhelmed or anxious or disconnected from the overwhelm and the intensity and the extent of what is moving through the collective. And so this is how to be both. How do we move as these solid beings while simultaneously acknowledging and taking in and having capacity for the rest, right? Because we're not separate. And I feel that so deeply. And so this episode is really just to bring through the medicine that I am dosing myself with at this time.
You are listening to the Circle of Life podcast, where conversations on life, healing, and the human experience walk us home over and over again. I am your host, Ellen, and this is a home for the healing, a place for curious minds, big hearts, and a different kind of conversation. The Circle of Life podcast serves to invoke the deepest parts of you and remind you that you are your greatest resource. If you, like me, value depth, raw conversations, and a good old-fashioned dose of heart-to-heart medicine, this space is especially akin to you. Together, we'll remember the capacity of our human spirit and what it means to be healing, whole, and a part of this extraordinary circle of life. I hope you find as much medicine and resonance in the words and stories shared as I do in bringing them to you. It's truly such an honor to have you here. G'day and welcome.
Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back to the Circle of Life podcast. I am coming to you from some really beautiful land right now, and I can see mountains and trees, and I can hear the birds, and there's just so much aliveness here, and it feels so stunning to be using my Saturday to bring through some incredible medicine for you for this time right now, especially if you are feeling it. I know so many of my sisters, my community, you, the world at large, do have a deep capacity for feeling, for sensation, for energy. And especially right now, there is a lot moving through. And what I want to bring to you today is really just the opportunity to engage with me and what it is that I am dialing into and tapping into for myself to remain firm and solid and centered and connected physically, emotionally, energetically, spiritually as I move through this time for myself. As many of you know, clarity is one of my number one values in life. It's also the number one pillar of the work I bring to the world, and therefore is the number one requirement of me to be able to do that cleanly and powerfully. And so this is really an episode I feel is going to be super supportive if you struggle to or find yourself oscillating a lot between moments of pristine clarity and directness and action-oriented decisions and spaces where you find yourself feeling grounded and connected and sure and on purpose and you have direction, and then swinging back the other way and feeling overwhelmed or anxious or disconnected, dissociated, collapsed in some ways, dissonant, from the overwhelm and the intensity and the extent of what is moving through the collective. And so this is an episode of how to be both. How do we move as these solid beings while simultaneously acknowledging and taking in and having capacity for the rest, right? Because we're not separate. And I feel that so deeply. I know, I feel it in every way that I am not separate to what is unfolding in the collective. And so this episode is really just to bring through the medicine that I am dosing myself with at this time. And hopefully you pull something really powerful from it for yourself. Now, I wanted to bring in, these amazing humans and guests and offer you a wide array of conversations and stories and expertise on this podcast. And I have just been so full. There's been so much moving in my world that I just haven't had a chance to even look at all of the different guests and human beings that I want to bring into this space. But please know, rest assured that that will be ongoing, that will continue. And I hope you've been enjoying the incredible people that have been coming here and sharing their stories and giving us their flavors and tastes and branding of how they are moving through the world and their histories and her stories and their workings and ways. I find it to be such medicine for myself. It always has been. And I often downplay in my own mind through my own stories this because it doesn't seem powerful enough. It's not, maybe not professional enough, or however you want to frame it. But I know, like I fucking know how powerful it is to receive human beings in their full form, in their truth, in their aliveness, in their wisdom, and for that to be channeled through in a way that cannot be done any other than through the human vessel. And the resonance that emerges from that place is felt, it is seen, it is held, it is heard, and we get to experience ourselves so powerfully as a result. So that is my commitment to this space, is to keep bringing in those humans and those stories around life and the human experience and healing and depth. So if you'd like to go deeper, I have some podcast episodes here that you can grab and just take yourself on a little journey if that's what you're needing right now. But before we get started, let's all dial in together and let's just pretend we're all together and we're just taking a big collective inhale through our nose and a nice big open mouth out breath. The out breath is medicine. It takes what's inside and internally oriented and moves it and gives it expression and a way to be externalized. So there's more space being created inside. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your presence and your desire and your willingness to receive from this space. It gives me life and it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you so much. Let's dive into today's episode. So, the way of the world right now and how I'm navigating that within myself and in my service, because they are directly linked, and how I'm staying solid and unwavering and open and contained. Containment is key here at the same time as the world is moving in all these wild and weird and interesting ways, especially here in Australia. I am the kind of human being that is deeply dialed into the collective. It's not something I've really ever named. It's just something I've known for a really long time. And I've spent years deciphering that and learning how to, put language on that experience. And one of my clients the other day actually said to me, how do I know what is mine and what is the collective's? Because she too is that connected. And I wonder if you feel that too. I sense that if you're here, you're probably very dialed in. And maybe if you are someone who struggles to discern between what is yours and what is not, you might be a master at this. You probably are. But if not, I think this is a really great place to start in being able to discern for ourselves what is our own and what is not. And where I'm taking you today will reflect that, will confer you to a way of being able to do this for yourself, which is, gosh, so, so valuable at this time and at all times, regardless, because containment within our own experience, having our eyes turned on from the inside, gives us a way to experience ourselves as we are without so much coming in from the external. And the external can be an extremely distortive and sometimes big energy that can keep us a little bit of friction can occur in the body. I really feel that sometimes. So I want you to come in with that seed planted, like what is mine, what is the collective's, and the journey we're going on today is really just how do I get to a place where I can discern that for myself? And that's going to be all about your state of being, how connected you are to your body and what you're doing every day to bring yourself into that state. It requires some extreme discipline, especially when the world is moving the way it's moving. So let me begin by sharing. I think I've got maybe 5 or 6 things that I'd like to bring through for you. So if you are someone right now who is really attuned and dialed into the collective field, you might also recognize that there's not just big energy, there's also beautiful energy as well. And I like to bring the light and the dark together because they coexist at all times and we can feel it, we can feel both together. And just as an example, I'm on the most beautiful land right now, and I'm just seeing so much beauty. And it's so important that as human beings, we are directing our attention to the places that are going to support us to create an inner field that can feel a little bit like heaven on earth at times, or at least all of the time. For some of us, that's the truer path for us, and we know that. But to just direct your energy to as well what is so beautiful. But this episode truly is just such a masterful way for us to begin just feeling into where we're at and how we can begin to bring through a few things in our lives to really orient, I suppose, more towards that experience of the beauty, the glimmers, the medicine, the magic that is life alongside what is heavy and hard and dark and weird and wild and crazy and absurd, right? Because we exist as human beings in the field of everything, you know? So, this podcast episode is going to answer a very profound question. How do I know what's mine and what's the collective's? And that's going to bring us to practices and places that we can start to, hopefully for you, just dial into how you can bring some of these things through for yourself to get that clarity. So let me begin with the first thing that I'm doing in my life right now to create a felt sense, a state of mind, a state of being, a state of body, a state of spirit, where I can remain truly and fully anchored in my own experience. And that is truly participating in my deepest work with the people who are responsible for facilitating that for me. Now, I often say I am so biased towards true and impeccable mentorship, psychotherapy, conversations, and experiences that facilitate, again, your deeper inner work. Because if you are in the right place, the right space with the right person, what can be excavated and tapped into in these spaces offers a profound experience of what is in me, what is alive in me. It turns your attention in. And I find this to be extremely therapeutic for me. And my teachers, my people who are responsible for this know this because they know one of my number one values in life is clarity. And if you're not sure about what your values are in life, now might be a really beautiful time to at least explore that for yourself. And if you do, go through them and just connect with them and feel them in your body and use what I'm offering you here as a way to maybe link yourself from, to your values to a place of, or practice rather, of what you could be doing, that matches those values. And for me, one of those is clarity. And nothing gives me more clarity. Nothing gives me more clarity than being in these spaces. There are a couple other things that give me pristine clarity, which we're going to get to today, but yeah, like this is it. So being seen, being held in the deep things that are moving through me, right? Somatically building up my energy, emotional energy, survival energy, the content that lives within me, working with that and experiencing it on the way out, releasing it, integrating it, right? This deepens my clarity. This deepens my knowing. This deepens me. This puts me back in a really solid place within myself, because as I'm doing this, I'm deciphering and I'm decoding what is alive in me. And that ultimately connects me back to a place of knowing. And that's the primary place that I like to exist within myself. I get to consciously move out what's inside, and I, in exchange, create an inner spaciousness, that fully supports me to know what is mine and what is not. Remembering that emotional, traumatic, survival, stress energy, these energies have a way of distorting our channel, distorting our experience of ourselves. So deep spaces where that can be cleared out in a conscious way through in an ongoing means or a way is, for me, that supports me deeply to know what's mine and what's not. It clears the distortion, it clears the fog, it lifts the weight, it brings me to that place where I am so fucking dialed in, and I know exactly what that is. And for some of you, this might be really new, and for some of you, you might be very masterful at that. And it doesn't matter where you sit on that spectrum. If you're here, you're likely doing that in some way, or you want to be, or at least are aware that it's necessary, and you would be right, to build that interoceptive capacity, to have your eyes switched on from the inside and to have a relationship with your felt sense experience. So what is alive inside can be moved, can be worked with. So spaciousness and clarity can emerge. Okay, so my deepest work at this time is some of the most powerful work that I am doing to maintain a felt sense of presence, clarity, groundedness, anchoredness, knowing, right? It's supporting me to create a clear channel, which is fucking everything. The next thing that I'm doing, so the second thing that I'm doing in my life is, as often as I can, whether that's every day or every second day at this stage, I've developed a really powerful practice that I am opting into at the moment that I'm really loving. It's physical, it's somatic, it's spiritual, it's movement, it's breath, it like typical manifesting generated, typical generated, just taking all these different worlds, blending them together, and doing that from a place that is masterful, because I have in many ways mastered these different worlds, bringing that together and formulating a morning practice that mimics my ability to essentially do what I do in my deep work, like with my teachers and facilitators, but on my mat and in my own body and in my own presence. Yeah. And so this is sort of like an invitation for you to really explore what it is you're doing, perhaps every day or every second day, or what you could be doing that blends these worlds, specifically breath, movement, sound, and not just in a way that ticks the boxes, but in a truly deep and expansive and embodied way that, again, this is the practice of interoception. So this isn't just like a yoga practice. This isn't just like a movement practice. It's not taking a walk. This is me on my mat. And the moment that I get there, the first pose I take, the shape I take is child's pose. But what's happening on the inside is what matters. And as soon as I get into that pose, I am tracking sensation immediately. I'm tracking my body. I'm tracking what's alive. I'm noticing where there is tension, where there is restriction. I'm noticing where there is tightness. I'm noticing just how my body is speaking to me. And then I'm initiating my breath to bring that through. And then I'm using my exhale with an open mouth to move and work with that, not breathe it down, not breathe it over, but to breathe into it. Yeah, to work so they can work together. And so I can get a deeper sense of what's actually happening here. And this isn't about understanding. Somatic tracking never is. We don't need to understand. The goal is to stay. The goal is presence. The goal is to stay with the sensation and build a relationship with it and cultivate a felt sense experience. So essentially I'm building and integrating somatically as I move through this practice. And I will go through, it's if you were to see it done, it would look like a yoga sequence. But there is so much that is happening in that sequence that is hidden to the conscious mind or the naked eye, right? And what this does is there's a few things here. This practice specifically is training my focus to look at what's right in front of me, to stay in my lane. This is imperative when it comes to being of service and having profound gifts that I want to share with the world. And same for you if you're in that boat as well. It trains my focus to stay with what is right in front of me and what is right within me and what is truly in my field. It's a you could even say it's a degree of meditation, because meditation is very much about training that specific skill set of where did I just go and coming back. And I'm taking shapes and poses that challenge my body, but I'm not forcing anything, right? I'm not forcing my breath. I'm not forcing myself into stretches or postures or poses that my body cannot take organically, which is another practice of spontaneity in the body. When the body can move spontaneously, when the breath can be spontaneous, we experience a totally different field within us, right? Because how often are we forcing and moving and taking shapes and postures in life that aren't necessarily organic, right? So this for me is, as you can probably feel, is a practice of so many different components that have a profound ripple effect on these areas of my life where they are truly needed, especially as a writer, as a speaker, as a facilitator, as a breathwork practitioner, as a somatic healing practitioner. These are the things that are not negotiable for me. And I will preface by saying as well that I do not have children and I have that space. And regardless, I know me and I know that I would be creating that space no matter what, to the best of my ability. I know this. So this grounds and stabilizes my energy. This grounds and stabilizes my attention and my focus, which is so finite, and a true skill that I really believe we must master at this time where our attention is being pulled in all directions. And this grounds and anchors me into my gifts, my channel, my clarity. So it builds upon everything else that I am doing in my life, and it bleeds and ripples into it as well. So what could you be doing in your life that doesn't have to look like that, doesn't have to be that? That to me isn't complex, but that might feel complex for someone who's not me. So what could the most simplest, most basic, boring form of that be for you? Because it's not about shiny big things. It's about what fucking works. It's about how how clean am I when I get into that place, when I go there, when I opt into this practice? Where the hell am I? Am I just trying to tick it off, or am I fully in my body? Right? And if you're not in your body, it's what do you need to be doing to get there? Right? Who do you need to be working with? What is the gap? Create the resources for yourself if you can't do that for yourself at this stage, right? And then for those of you who have mastered this, I just want to see you and say, even though we can be masters of this work sometimes, how could you refine this even more to dial in even more and plant the seed of what else could be possible if I do it like this, or if I bring this in, or if I start to, fine tune and tweak these things to just, because repetition sometimes becomes boring and it loses its power. How can I shift this to bring more power into my practice? Reflection is a really powerful way to move through what's alive inside. And that's my third offering for you today. There's a really simple, basic reflection practice that I have that I've borrowed from the book 10x is Easier Than 2x by Dan Sullivan. And he talks about journaling 3 wins for today, 3 wins for tomorrow, and just keeping a small journal of that every day. And I am pretty dedicated to that. That keeps me, again, in the energy, in the channel of where I'm going. It gives me direction. It reminds me that I'm actually winning at life in many, many ways. and it sets me up for the following day. I also add my own personal reflection as well. So just what is, the most biggest, truest, refined reflection for me for the day. And I just channel that through into a paragraph that defines my biggest reflection for myself. And that is profoundly grounding. It anchors me into the present and into where I'm going, which is important because where I'm going matters just as much as where I am. My fourth offering is big spaces with mature women who can support your gifts and your visions and the direction you're going. Big spaces with women who are mature enough to see the light in you and reflect it and claim it and help you claim it and amplify it. Yeah. Spaces that can hold your bigness, your gifts, your ideas, your visions, and how immense that feels in your body. And when you sit in that space and you really claim that for yourself and you start to embody this excitement and aliveness and all this energy just becomes you because you know what you're here to do and that fire starts to light. Being in spaces that can hold that. Yeah, because there is so much I hold so close to my chest that I only bring that to those spaces because I have learned, this is not my first rodeo, I've learned to hold myself in a very high regard when it comes to my vision and my gifts. Not everyone is entitled to know what is alive in me and where I'm going. Not everyone is entitled to have an opinion or a say on that. Yeah, so gather with the women who can hold that bigness and that aliveness. Find the spaces that can truly bring and lift that out of you. And if you're looking for a space that can do that, check the show notes and the links in the show notes here, because that one of my spaces is specifically designed to work with your vision alongside your somatic and facilitation development skill sets, which is fucking amazing. It's truly profound. So when you can not just give your gifts in a way where people are fully able to receive and hold them, but when they can be amplified in the spaces where other women are doing really similar big things in the world, what you're getting is such incredible feedback and proof and evidence that actually me being in this bigness and aliveness and this inspired is actually like this, you're raising the bar, and what was once the ceiling becomes the fucking floor. And now suddenly you're playing at this whole new level of life because it's being modeled to you, it's being mirrored back to you, and you're getting this feedback that shows you that actually this is how we can do it. Yeah. And even though there's so much alive inside of you that you want to keep close to your chest, having those spaces to bring that out and to have that amplified and reflected back to you and just received so fully, like to be so fully received, especially by other women, it's true medicine. It's grounding and it's activating at the same time. And it gives me personally the courage, the grit, the strength, the desire to take that and move with that in the areas of my life that often feel quite risky and quite scary. So big spaces with mature, emotionally mature women who have claimed their own light and are, familiar with that experience and what it means to hold such profound gifts and have such a profound path in this lifetime. My fifth offering to you is this. So this right here, me here in this space, giving back. Me in this space, giving you as much value as I possibly can in the short amount of time that I can do that for free. Doing that in a way where I get to come alive. I get to bring through the wisdom and the integrated experiences that just light me up and help me and support me. And hundreds of women that I work with, this is something that feeds and nourishes me, being of service. And I know many of you feel this. I know you get it. And I also know there are many of you who are just craving and longing and yearning to experience that because you have such life in you. You have such amazing gifts inside of you, and you want to be doing that. Yeah. What is the smallest way you could begin? Maybe it's with one of the former four offerings that I've already offered here. Right. But how can giving back feed you? Because it doesn't necessarily, being of service. I had the best conversation with someone I'm collabing with at the moment yesterday, literally. And we were speaking about how we have these profound gifts that are so refined and fine tuned. And it doesn't matter what space you step into, right? If your ego is like, I'm too big for that space or I'm too good for that space, you're going to miss out on being able to even acknowledge that the medicine and the gifts that you carry are not what you do. They're who you are. It's what's in you. So it doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter who you're engaging with. It doesn't matter what space you're stepping into. Those gifts are going to be illuminated and activated, right? So give back in a way that is just natural and organic for you. Like so many of my clients, I think about them and they are the most incredible humans. Like their gifts are not like how they look and how they can perform and show you like what they do. Their gifts are like asking the shopkeeper at the corner store, how are you today? It's helping someone with their groceries. It's, giving back through their hearts. Like these are the women that are in my field, and I am so obsessed with that. Right. So sometimes the biggest impact we can actually make is through obviously doing our deepest work so we can contact and have space for that. Because let's face it, us women, we have a extreme tendency to overgive, overfunction, and overdo it. But when we have developed that spaciousness and capacity within, how we give is contained. How we do it is contained. It's done in a way where we know how to move through that organically and when to pull back. And it's not even conscious because we just feel it and we know, right? So doing this work in the world in this capacity, in really any capacity, feeds me, it nourishes me, and it reminds me what the hell I'm here for. I keep thinking to myself, I chose this time. My soul chose to incarnate at this time for some reason. And when I really feel into it, I know deeply that it's to be of service in whatever way that I can, but more importantly, the way that is most aligned and attuned to the very unique and specific ways that I desire to do it. And that is through using my voice and using these platforms and just being a presence in the field for what's possible and what can be experienced and held and felt when we do this deep, beautiful work for ourselves. Now, the final offering I'm going to bring through in this episode is deep listening. This is a profound practice that is a part of my everyday life. It's not outsourcing my knowing. I'm not outsourcing my knowing. I'm not outsourcing that to AI. I'm not plugging that through an AI bot to get it to give it to me in a way that makes sense, because part of my work, and I know this, is deciphering that knowing. And I have spent the last 12 years doing exactly that. And that gives me a whole new world to play in, a whole new language to offer myself and what my internal experience is, and then a whole new language to give to the collective to help the collective make sense of that knowing for themselves as well. So I'm not outsourcing my knowing, right? And I'm also not smothering it. I'm not pretending that I am not this wise, intuitive, deeply connected being, right? I have done that, and I've played in that field, and it is very disruptive. So I'm listening, right? I'm bringing my attention closer to the infinite wisdom that lives within me. Yeah, and to be clear, I'm not against AI. I am against us never learning and learning how to decipher the language of our own bodies, decipher the language of our knowing. We are impeccably clairvoyant. Our clairsenses, and there's many of them, are so real. They're so real. And the more time I spend outsourcing AI to decipher that, the less I'll feel it, the less I'll know it on the inside, right? And for me, that is not it. It's just not it. Yeah. So bringing my attention closer to that infinite wisdom, that infinite insight, that infinite knowing and knowledge that I'm getting through my channel, through being a clear channel, which in and of itself is, just how you live, right? And using this knowledge and insight as a way to respond to what is going on, right? To respond to myself and what I need and what's needed from me over here and over here and over here. And deep listening is how I literally decipher how I'm going to respond to it. And that is a practice that I am devoted to choosing for myself first. And it's one that I offer my clients all of the time. I say, tune into your own field first. Tune into your own energy first. What's alive for you? Have your own experience first. Please connect with that insight, connect with that internal world, even if you don't understand it, even if you can't decipher it at this point. Those of you who know how, you get what I'm saying. It's a practice that we build on. It's a skill set. It's not something that is going to happen at the click of a finger. That's why it requires discipline and devotion. And that's why those of us who can do that are so passionate about this, because we know it's possible. It just requires so much discipline, so much devotion, and a willingness and a desire. Even for some of you, you might not even care about like being able to channel and pull through and access that divine, deep, infinite knowledge and insight. But if you're here, you probably do. And then as part of this, I am resetting my spaces as well. So just a little bonus offering. Something I'm feeling so obsessed with at the moment is sage. I'm feeling this relationship that I have with sage at the moment, white sage in particular, there is something really alive for me there. And I am just resetting my spaces every day, every morning, or probably up to 3 times a day. I do work with a lot of energy. I do work with a lot of emotion, and I know that's part of it, but also I just get this sense that what's moving through the collective is just requiring that for me right now, is just the resetting of my space. So, connecting with the essence and the energy of that sage and the medicine it carries and the protective and cleansing properties that it beholds, and bringing that into my spaces and just breathing that in and connecting with that is so deeply resetting for me and my spaces. So something super simple, if nothing else, that you can do is reset your space, and like it might inspire you to reorganize your spaces as well. Sometimes I find myself just like literally making space and cleansing and clearing out. So I hope this has inspired you to just at least, at the very least, just explore how it is and what it is you're tapping into every day, or to refine and amplify what it is you're doing. Or if you haven't got anything in place, just to start remembering that you have that power and that is a choice you can be making. And what does that need to look like for you? I'm always going to encourage you to go inside and look in for yourself and just feel like, what is it that I actually need? Ellen's given me all of these things. Take and leave what works and what feels good, and gosh, just leave the rest. Like, fuck. What is organically coming through for you? What is alive for you? And use that and create something for yourself. Believe it or not, we are creators of life and of many things. So I know you have this capacity. I know you have this strength, and it's something you can do right now to orient yourself towards more connection, a greater felt sense of safety within your own body, containment within your own body. And that is what's needed at this time, especially. And, if I'm honest, all times for me personally, this is just how I like to move through the world. So I hope that serves. I hope that gives you enough to just play with and explore for yourself. It's so good to be back here connecting with you. Please let me know how this lands for you, if you've pulled anything exciting or interesting, or maybe you've got some curiosities, bring them through. And I have left a bunch of things in the show notes for you, some links that you can click on, what's happening in my world. I'm over on Instagram at the moment, bringing through some beautiful stories around my unique lens and experience with breath work as a breath practitioner. I just have so much moving in my field right now, and it's feeling so beautiful. I've got some promos that are about to be just dropping in the field, and there's just a lot of exciting, beautiful, not necessarily new, but new ways for us to come together and to work together. So check that out in the show notes if you are looking to go deeper, you're interested in developing yourself somatically. If you're a facilitator or wanting to be, I have some incredible things that might tickle your fancy. Either way, I'm honored you're here. Take care of yourself out there, take care of each other, and I will see you next time.